Okay, in this video I'm going to talk about osmosis. That is this word right here, osmosis. And we define osmosis as the diffusion of water across a semi-permeable membrane. Now we've already learned about diffusion. Diffusion, you remember, is the movement of molecules from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So it's high to low concentration, right? So what do we mean by this term semi-permeable? Well, let's first take a look at this word permeable. Permeable means that water can flow through it. So let's say this was like a towel or a paper towel or something like that, and we put some water on it like this, like we sprayed some water on it, and it would just go through. So permeable means it goes through. Now what about semi in English? Semi means one half or part, partly. So semi-permeable is partly permeable, means that some things can go through and some things cannot. So if I had, for example, a large object like this, a large object, and I tried to get it to go through here, it's not going to go through. So some things can go through and other things cannot. Okay, a couple of other definitions. We have this term solute. So what is a solute? So let's say that we had, for example, a beaker, or we had a glass of water, and this is just some water in here, and this is water, H2O, and I put some sugar in here. Let's put some sugar molecules, or just some sugar in here, and the sugar is going to dissolve in the water. In this case, these little things are the solute. Okay, so it's what's dissolved. And then a solvent, in this case, is the water. So the water is solvent. It's not always a solvent, but sometimes it is. Solvent. So we have our solute and our solvent. So let's define osmosis again. So let's just write it down here. Osmosis. Okay, so it's the diffusion, which we know what that is, right? Of water. We know what water is. Across a semi-permeable membrane. So remember, it's semi-permeable. So if we have a cell membrane, and let's just kind of draw our cell membrane here. I'm not going to draw all the little phospholipids, but I'm going to just have our membrane here, like this. This is our membrane. We know that small molecules, like water molecules, can easily go through here. But large molecules cannot easily go through. Sometimes they can go through if there is a protein channel, but there's not very many protein channels, so a lot of the times large molecules cannot go through. So it's permeable to water, and not permeable to large molecules, like sugar. So sugar is going to not go through that membrane. So let's say we had a situation like this. Here we have a glass of water. Here's our glass of water. And we're going to put in this glass of water, we're going to put in here a semi-permeable membrane. So I'm just going to pretend that we've got a semi-permeable membrane here. We're just going to run it right down the middle. This is a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, so I'm just going to write it out. Semi-permeable membrane. Now, if I take some small molecules, let's say one of the really small molecules is salt molecules. So I'm going to put some salt molecules in here. These are tiny, small molecules. These are small molecules. And what's going to happen over time? Well, they're small enough to go through the membrane. So they're going to diffuse from an area of high concentration, which is here, and they're going to go into an area of low concentration, which is here, just like we learned before. So we go high to low. So this is just diffusion. This is simple diffusion. Okay, so that's pretty simple. That seems to make sense. We can move our small molecules across the membrane. But what happens if they are large molecules? So let's see what happens when we are dealing with large molecules. I'm going to put some large molecules in here now. These are really big. Okay, and they too big to go through the membrane. They're not going to go through here. They're too big to go through. So now let's ask the question. The large molecules are our solute, and our solvent is water. But where is the water more concentrated? So where is water more concentrated? Well, if we know that this is the water, so I'm just going to put blue dots here for water molecules. You can see that the water is actually more concentrated on this side. This is high concentration, because in this side there's not enough room. The large molecules have taken up all the room. So this is high concentration. I'm just going to put CONC as an abbreviation. So now what's going to happen if these molecules, if these right here can't go through the membrane, what's going to happen? Well, remember, diffusion happens, you go from high to low, and osmosis is the diffusion of water from high concentration to low concentration. So where is it low concentration? The water, low concentration here. So the water is actually going to move this way. Okay, so that's osmosis. It's the movement of water this way. And what's actually going to happen is if you had, if the membrane were actually kind of coming out of the water like this, you had a barrier here, this water would actually move up. It would move up like that, and you'd have more water here, and that's called osmosis. So again, it's the movement of water. There's water from where it's high concentration to where it's low concentration. So what does that mean for cells? So here we have another picture. This is a beaker or a glass of water, and it has a cell in it. Now inside the glass, it's just all water. These are all water molecules. Nothing else in here. Only water. Only water. Only water. But the cell, let's say the cell has some sugar or some sort of large molecules inside there that can't go through the membrane. They are not going to go through. They can't go through there. So what's going to happen? The water is going to go into the membrane. So by osmosis, water diffuses into the membrane. And on the other side, if we have a situation like this where we have a cell that really doesn't have anything inside it except for some water molecules like this, but the water, the water in the glass has lots of other large molecules. Let's say these are large molecules. What's going to happen? The water in this case is going to move out of the cell. Water moves out because it has high concentration here and a low concentration here. So the water is going to move out of the cell. So that's the story of osmosis. We'll go over it a couple of times and we'll do a lab on it. You can replay the video if you had any questions.